Fabric family. How's every single one of you today? And we're back live this time because we're going to be talking about one of the four of the main pay-per-views from the WWE. Jean-Paul, Juanzo, and we have like our guest, of course, a friend of the house, Glenn Davidson from Wrestling All Day, All Night. We're going to be talking about all of these situations, matchups, everything that is going to be happening in this pay-per-view that closes the year in the main four for the WWE. So how's it going, Glenn? A pleasure to have you one more time.
It's going well. I'm very happy to be back. I like your site. I like your group. I like everything you guys. I like a theme song, man. Theme song gets me pumped for these, so I'm really looking forward to doing it.
One day we'll reveal who did it. One day we'll reveal all of that. But yeah, cool to have you, family. Before we go in, thank you so very much for the love, support that you give us. So don't forget, because our friend, don't forget to subscribe to his channel on Facebook. Wrestling All Day, All Night. Right there, Orange Cassidy. Tell us a little bit about your side, Glenn. How was the idea? Tell us one more time. Refresh our minds.
Well, I just wanted to start a wrestling group one day. I've been watching wrestling for a very long time since I was very, very young. Actually, the first pay-per-view I saw was the Undertaker's debut at Survivor Series back in 1990. So, I've been a wrestling fan for a long time, and I've been a member of a lot of groups, but I wanted to start my own. I just wanted to have my own sort of vision for things. I like fans coming together and talking in a cordial, civil way about the different areas of pro wrestling, either WWE, AEW, Japanese wrestling, indie wrestling, any type of wrestling whatsoever. So that's how I created the group. I got a pretty good following. I like all the members. I like everybody who's a part of it. And if anybody else is watching out there and want to become a member of a pretty fun group, just go to look up on Facebook, Wrestling All Day All Night, or now follow us on Instagram at Wrestling All Day All Night.
Exactly, it's really good, and please, family, keep supporting Glenn, could support us also. So yeah, Jean-Paul, let's start talking about Survivor Series a little bit. What are your thoughts? Are you excited about this? What's going on?
I mean, I'm excited. It's one of the major four pay-per-views. I don't know how you can't be excited, but it's WWE always finds a way to kind of suck some of that excitement out of you. I think some of the matchups could have been a lot better if you would have maybe switched a team or a person here or there, but it should still be exciting. I'm looking forward to it, especially the main event, which to me is going to be the hardest match to call here, of Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre.
Exactly, thank you so very much to Tom Leibel, a friend of the house also, Doug Masters, guys that have been with us. We had a great interview with him. Thank you so much for the love and support. Pato, the family always watching. Thank you for the support. Don't forget, family, Jean-Paul and I will cover all the shows Smackdown. Why a contract signing is needed. Glenn, when you see these things, for example, you see Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns, they know that you have a match. Why is the contract signing needed? When you see these things, are you like us, is this making sense or no?
Well, it's one of two things. Either they need to kill time for some reason, or someone's going through that contract table. I think it does add a level of realism, or at least they try to add a level of realism to it. But, it's pro wrestling. I think fans are expecting a little bit of surrealism or even unrealism. And I don't know. I mean, I've seen some contract signings go well. I've seen some be appropriate. I've seen some others just sort of suck air. So, it's sort of a mixed bag when I see it. It depends on the feud. And I think with this one, as you guys have said already, this one's going to be a hard one for me to call.
Exactly. I don't know. I just for me, it's Glenn, the match is already set up. So why is there a need to do a contract signing? I just and especially the one that this one went, Jean-Paul and I mentioned in the review, is like Roman Reigns pretty much did all the talking. So McIntyre looked kind of a little bit like an idiot because he didn't even have any strong message for Roman. So that's the one thing I didn't like.
I mean, it could be one of those things where it's they like to sort of tear down to build up. So maybe in a way, if Drew takes a lot of crap from Roman, he might end up turning around and winning this thing. On the other hand, it's always hard for me to bet against Roman. So I don't know.
Exactly. Example, Tom Leibel is asking if we're drinking today. So
no legit juice, just some coffee today.
But there you go. We're all pretty we're not really drinking. There you go. Yeah,
no twisted tea today. It's a little too late for that.
For Mr. Leibel, but we love you. Thank you for watching. Also, you
I'll
know,
have my
family.
pantinis afterwards.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, like the situation here where we live is a little like, you know, cases are going up, unfortunately. So let's talk about Survivor Series Best of the Best. Guys, there's going to be like the pre-show is going to be, you know, a battle royal between like SmackDown and Raw. So like the superstars, pretty much the jobbers that are not even included in the pay-per-view are going to be part of this. So guys, like I want to start with you, Glenn. Like, what do you think like NXT being left out is affecting to this year's Survivor Series?
I heard some rumors about that. I mean, it was sort of a quasi punishment for not doing well in the Wednesday ratings war, if you even want to call it that. I think they maybe just didn't have anything for them. I mean, sometimes the creative staff is just like that. And also, to build on what you said, it could be very much a COVID-19 thing. Maybe they want to keep some of the talent separated further. I don't know. I mean, I'm more of a fan of NXT than Raw and SmackDown. I think a lot of, at least the hardcore fans are. So it's going to be missing that aspect and missing a little bit of excitement from it. I'm hoping that they're doing that and they're able to replace it with just what they already have planned.
Yeah. You know, Jean Paul, like, we were really disappointed with NXT because, like, remember last year's guys, it was like such a really great show with the addition of it. It made it so much better. Like the matchups were even more interesting. Everybody, and the fact that NXT won last year makes it even worse because NXT couldn't even defend the title. Let's say of like what's the most dominant brand.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like just because of NXT, you know, everything with AEW and just, you know, they're so injury ridden, and then it was like, okay, they go a couple weeks, they're good, and then a couple COVID cases, and then they're good, and then more COVID cases. They probably thought, let's not add another headache with trying to plan our own storylines and also incorporate Survivor Series. Let's just leave it out this year. And maybe we'll see it, 2021, 2022. But, I mean, as good as it was last year, that was last year. Things were different. So I'm kind of happy that they didn't try to do it this year, especially with Finn Balor being hurt as well.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely right. See, that our friend Libel says, Jean-Paul said, what? No Twisted Team? Oh, man. And he's saying also,
who cares about wrestling opinions? No Twisted Tea. Come on.
He goes Raw and SmackDown took most of the NXT talent and buried them on the main card. Well, don't we all agree with that? Like what happened with Andrade and Almas? Everybody else, so many guys. Like for example, give me one guy like Glenn, like one guy that you were had high hopes on the main roster, and then what happened?
Bo Dallas.
Yeah, Believe.
Where is he? I still have my Believe shirt. All right, I was very high on that whole gimmick, and I have no idea what's going on with that.
Yes, and that's the main roster effect. Everything that Vince McMahon touches, completely destroys. Like for example, Almas is for me like the guy that like Bobby Roode. We cover him every single week, and we want beer money to come back. Like Jean Paul and I, that's our dream. Like the James Storm is still active. Bobby Roode is still active. Go to Impact. We cover Impacts also. So, go back, get your money again, and then let's be happy. I just don't get it. So, guys, let's talk about, the first matches of the, in the card. So, this is, the tag team. A lot of people are really, selling this. This is the best tag team match of all time. I completely disagree. I'm not behind anything of these two teams that they have to offer for me. Street Profits and The New Day. The New Day is already an idea that is being used for so long. I don't care about it. They're not even heel. They're still babyface. Big E is the main story for me, and the Street Profits, they've been holding those championships for way too long. But let's start with Mr. Leegg. What do you think about this, Jean-Paul?
Yeah, I don't like this matchup. When they, had the tag team matchup with the Hurt Business a couple weeks ago, the New Day, I thought that would have been the perfect opportunity because that was kind of like a feud, the Street Profits and the Hurt Business, and then it's you could really touch on that. And if the Hurt Business, I thought, would beat the New Day, beat the Street Profits, then they, that's a way to really get that brand over and really, make them look dominant, especially for two guys who deserve it, like Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander, but they obviously didn't win that matchup. This is the one we're getting, and I agree with you 100%. The New Day, to me, is stale, and there's something about the Street Profits, whether it's the main roster effect or just how we see them every single week, and they do the same shtick every single week, but they don't feel as cool and as legit as they did in NXT. So I'm not really a big fan of them anymore either. So I really could care less for this matchup. But who do I think is going to win it? I'm going to say the Street Profits. I think the New Day is going to put them over, and that WWE, they're in all the commercials, the Skittles commercials. I think they're in like a Head and Shoulders commercial or something.
Everything.
The Street Profits are the
commercials. Everything.
Yeah, the Street Profits are the ones who they're pushing to the moon. So I see the New Day putting them going over. So my pick's Street Profits.
So let's go now with the creator of wrestling all day, all night. Don't forget once again to join. A great wrestling group is always serious, but it's also nice to be able to exchange ideas and don't conflict. Don't argue with anybody. Glenn, Street Profits, New Day. Who do you like? Who do you dislike? Who wins and what?
What you said about Street Profits is true, but you cannot play as them in the New Gears of War game, as you can with the New Day. But
yes.
that's another story. To me, I mean, this is the kind of problem that I have when they have these sorts of events, that it's like the annual thing. It's like Hell in a Cell. Okay, now we're gonna have a Hell in a Cell matches. Back in the day they had Fatal 4-Way. Okay, and everything got a Fatal 4-Way. I mean, Survivor Series is the same thing. Brand versus brand. So let's have the brands fight together. And that's why the Raw and SmackDown teams, to me, I mean, it feels like that's the only real reason this is taking place. That said, I mean, the New Day does feel stale. I mean, they've been together for a very long time. As long as they sell merchandise, that's what we're going to see. And they did have the title swap with Street Profits.
That was awful.
So I didn't care for that. I mean, at the very least, there should have been something that resembled a match or a confrontation. So I feel just probably Street Profits will win this one. I don't see New Day needing the win.
Yeah, no, and I'm going to agree with both of you. I'm just the Street Profits. I don't care though. I don't care who wins, and I just want the three guys to just pin. All right, good. Let's move on because this is just awful. I mean, the Street Profits is very talented men. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to bury these guys. I even put a great picture of both of them, the four of them. But the one team is completely stale, boring. I don't care, and the other one is like overly exposed and like the shtick is overly like done. When they're on commentary, like we can even understand what they're saying. They're way too hyped up. And Montez Ford is the main guy out of the two. We know that like the one guy that is going to break up and have a great singles career is Montez Ford. Nobody does like the frog splash like this guy does. He flies, I think, like he touches like the outer space and then he comes back and delivers. So at least for me, Street Profits is just because I think they want to do like a passing of the torch thing. So that's what I think is going to happen, guys. Hopefully it's a good match. Hopefully they deliver. Big E is the main absent in this situation because Big E was supposed to be added to the Survivor Series team. That didn't happen. So we'll see what they do because there's still a thing that they pre-show they can add him instead of Otis. We'll see what happens on that. So now let's talk about this one and let's start with Mr. Ek. Well, there you go. Bobby Lashley against our great liberator, Fidel Castro wannabe, Sami Zayn.
Well, what I said earlier about, really getting the Hurt Business over, having them look dominant, that's this match right here. I hope Sami Zayn doesn't do the classic, let me run around the ring, and then as soon as I step in, I eat a spear, and then the Hurt Lock, and then, tap out. I hope they actually have a wrestling match because Lashley will sell for him. Lashley's a good wrestler. He's not like a guy like Braun Strowman who looks, like he's out of place. So this match could be good. I hope that's the case they go, but I could really see this one, Lashley being dominant. But no matter which way they book this match, I don't see Sami Zayn winning. I mean, look how he ate the pin last night in that useless match on SmackDown. So I see Bobby Lashley getting the win here.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go with Glenn. Glenn, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think Sami Zayn is going to get paintbrushed this whole match. I think Lashley's just going to absolutely destroy him. It's probably going to be very, very quick.
And that sucks, that sucks because Sami Zayn is such a great wrestler. And he is to me, the whole gimmick is a lot better. But what do you think? Is it going to be a good match or, quick?
He's really good in his role. I mean, he's kind of the guy that you want to see run around and eventually get beat the hell out of, just for being so annoying. So, on one hand, you could have a really good match between the two. But if you have that aspect as well, I mean, that, if it's written and booked properly, that could be just as satisfying.
Oh, yeah, it could be. I mean, I'm going to tell you guys, I think that actually I'm going to go the other way around because everybody's thinking that way. I'm thinking that Sami Zayn is going to win. And it's going to be like a screwy finish. I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe some tension between the Hurt Business. But I think that Sami Zayn, because the thing that happened with him being pinned by Montez Ford yesterday on SmackDown, and also the thing that they're teasing with Daniel Bryan. if he is gonna go against Daniel Bryan, he needs to go strong. So he's probably gonna win.
Yeah, the only thing is Retribution I don't think plays a role. So maybe they're kind of feuding with the Hurt Business. Maybe they cost Lashley this match. So that could easily happen as well.
Yes. Yeah, for example, see, Tom Leibel is saying, I got Lashley. I mean, everybody's saying Lashley, so I'm just gonna go against everybody. Sorry, I just gotta kind of.
You gotta stay with the Liberator.
Fidel. I mean, I love Fidel. I have to. He liberate Cuba. No, that's not what happened. But anyway, that's a discussion for another show, not the wrestling the rubric. But anyway, yes, exactly. So I don't know. I just feel like Sami saying there's more with him to do. You can play it Again, they're teasing something with Daniel Bryan. They're teasing something, with the IC Championship. We'll see. I have faith in Sami Zayn. So now let's go with the girls' side, the SmackDown and Raw teams right here. So we have the traditional 5-on-5. As you guys can know, Bayley and Natalya are the ones that are the missing 2 spots right there for the SmackDown team. This actually seems, guys, at least for me, like a really weak Survivor Series, team versus team. Last year we had everybody pretty much everybody that is good, let's say, or the main players in the match, and now we don't have any one of them because if Becky is not there, Charlotte is not there, or Bayley, Sasha, Sasha, all of them, and especially on the side of the NXT, we had Io, we had Toni Storm, Rhea Ripley, everybody else.
Yeah, Bianca was on that team as well, because remember Michael Cole, now you're on a real team this year.
Yes.
But we won last year, asshole.
Well, yeah, but we won last year, yeah. We can't even defend the title anymore. So let's start with Glenn. Glenn, what do you think about this?
I think that Lana is going to be sole survivor, but at some point after that, she's going to get put through a table again.
Yeah. You had something on your page also. You were saying about how Lana is they have a chronicle, right?
It's hard not to think because Rusev now Miro left that it's not some kind of punishment because we know Vince can be that petty. On the other hand, let's try to ignore that part of it. And what I said earlier about how they like to tear down to build up. And this is really a tearing down because I think in a lot of fans' mind, Lana is still a manager. So for her to be, even in any kind of a ring capability is bad enough, for lack of a better term. And then to be eating a table week after week after week. When I was growing up, if you ate a table, you weren't seen for a week or 2. You just keeps coming back, and it's like the Energizer Bunny. You get up and down, up, down, up, down.
Yeah.
Like the Weeble, you knock it down, and it comes back up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the only, in my opinion, sensible payoff, and I guess it's a sensible payoff, is for her to be sole survivor. But it could probably some kind of dusty, screwy way, too. Maybe everybody else gets counted out and she's on the mat and wins somehow. But she's eating a table.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely eating a table. Even
it will
if
be the 10th time, right?
Yeah.
It will be the 10th time, I think. Or... Yeah, because I think it's 9 so far, right? Jean-Paul, because Jean-Paul covers all Monday Night Raw, so please don't forget, Monday Night Raw review with Jean-Paul Eck, the best reviews in the business. So what do you think, Eck?
Well, this that was my pick. I said if Team Raw is going to win, it's going to be Lana. That's going to be the joke because Vince loves that. To him, that's the funniest thing ever. He's screw a serious match. I want the comedy ending because it's Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans were at it, so to me that's a non-factor. The only factor is Lana and then the women's tag team champs. On SmackDown side, Bayley is there. I think the 2 main women on that team are going to be Bayley and Bianca Belair. Like I said, Natalya is probably going to be the first woman to get pinned.
Mm-hmm.
She's just going to be there. Hey, thanks for coming. But and then it's if Team SmackDown's going to win, it's going to be Bianca. But I could see her being maybe the last woman to get pinned somehow, and then her and Bayley have a feud because I see Bianca winning the Royal Rumble, so I'm going to go with Team Raw winning this one.
Okay, well, you Glenn, you didn't say the winner though. You said you said
no, he said Lana.
Lana. Okay, Lana. All right, I'm gonna go with actually I want to see Bianca because even Tom Leibel is saying Bianca needs the biggest push and hopefully she gets it during the match.
But see, I just don't want her to be the sole survivor. I mean, if it legit, but to be the sole survivor and then to go on and win the Royal Rumble, it's how much things do you need?
Well, yeah. I mean, we'll see. I just want Team SmackDown because in the last Survivor Series in the last editions, SmackDown always was the loser. Mm-hmm. They never win anything. I think even in the women's match last year it was NXT who won. So I want SmackDown to win, at least for me.
And SmackDown has the better cake, so.
Yeah, SmackDown has better cake. That's true. Let's see. I'm talking about
Happy
cake.
birthday.
Bianca is
There's no Bailey and Natalia. That's like the two. Like,
oh yeah, Bailey, Natalia, Liv Morgan, and Bianca. Yeah. Oh, Ruby, right? Yeah, they all have cake. Yeah, and I mean Nia Jax. That's way too much cake.
No.
That's when you have that much cake, and there's not enough whipped cream to put in.
Yeah, that's like a pound cake.
Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah, absolutely right, guys. You're right on that.
No.
So, Glenn, you like cake?
Not that cake, but yes, cake.
Oh, good, good, Glenn. Yeah, that's my Glenn. That's right. So now let's go to a match that it's been seen throughout the whole summer. I just don't know why we got to see this match again. I like both women, but it's just we saw this throughout the months of the pandemic, and those were the months that were actually in lockdown. So we actually got to see every single match. So let's start with Glenn, Asuka against Sasha. Raw versus SmackDown. What are your thoughts on this?
There could be some squirrely stuff with Bailey that causes Asuka to win, and I think that's probably going to be my prediction. We've seen them fight before. We've seen some stuff take place between them. I don't know. I feel like if I had to pick the two, I would think Asuka maybe needs to win, maybe a hair more. But I think there's going to be some screwy antics involved with this one, probably involving Bailey.
Oh yeah, I mean it could be. It could be actually Jean Paul. We said in SmackDown review that actually we were thinking that Asuka is going to win it, but Carmella is going to be the one that she's been causing a factor in the outcome of this match, just because Carmella is starting this feud with Sasha Banks, right?
Yeah, Carmella's been sticking her nose in too, so she could be a big problem.
Yes, yeah. So Jean Paul, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I definitely see Carmella being a factor, and it's because there's no real number one contender for Asuka on Raw. Asuka's just been really doing a whole lot of nothing, and they haven't been building anybody up. So if there's nobody to really interfere on that end, so to me, it's they're always how do we get out of these matches? How does somebody how does the loser not lose clean? And it's if every match needs to be a screwy finish, then don't book these matches all the time. But with this, I see Carmella coming in, causing a factor. And even if not, even if you have to put somebody over clean, I think you do Asuka, because it's hey, Sasha, no offense, but you just beat Bailey and had this legit feud, and Asuka hasn't been doing a whole lot of nothing. So give Asuka something legit, especially since Sasha stole the title from her in a bullshit way.
I remember
get a clean win,
Yeah, that was a bad decision when it comes to booking, just for her to get it back, in SummerSlam. So yeah, I agree to that. I feel that again, this match we've seen it so many times. So I'm just gonna pick for Asuka, just because you guys, both of you, are making a great point. She doesn't, she hasn't done anything, just because there's not a real contender for her. I don't know. Given we have the tag team champions, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. They could be potential contenders, but they're doing this situation with the titles that they don't even.
The only feud of that's legit would be Shayna, because we've seen Nia Jax so many times versus Asuka.
Yeah.
So we don't need to see that again.
Exactly. So what Tom Lable is saying, I got Sasha winning because it's not for a title. Sasha can beat Asuka if the titles were on the line. It's true though.
Yeah, Sasha does not have a very clean record when it comes to defending titles.
Yes. We're actually, and the only reason that she retained, like Jean Paul and I mentioned in the review on SmackDown, it was just, hey, we want Bailey to be just away from you for a little bit, and let's see what happens later on. So, we'll see what happens on that. So now, guys, let's go to the men's side of the Survivor Series, and that's Team Raw versus SmackDown, the 5 against 5. Jean Paul has been loving Team Raw. He loves AJ Styles, Sheamus, Matt Riddle, that's our guy. And Keith Lee, that he went from being so high in the roster, and now he's just somebody generic. It just feels that he lost all the momentum that he has as NXT champion, and just for completely ordinary, at least for me. Against SmackDown, and it's put together kind of on the fly, and the addition of Otis. I don't know if that's any good, because Otis also lost the Money in the Bank briefcase. So let's start with Leek. Tell me.
This, like you said, Keith Lee reminds me Shinsuke Nakamura. He had all this charisma in NXT, gets called up, and then he's just an ordinary, a loser. It's who is this guy? He doesn't feel special. That's the problem. But, the Team Raw, I think, is way too much star power. And like you said, whether it's Otis, Big E, whoever the hell's on this team for SmackDown, I just feel there's no way they're going to win. How do Sheamus, Keith Lee, Braun Strowman, the size of those three men alone, and then the star power of AJ, And, Matt Riddle, like, he's not being pushed the best, but he's still getting pushed a lot better than most. So to me, that team is way too good. And I think the fact that they're all fighting is going to be played a part to it, but it's also going to be like they're still going to win and go over. But I think there's going to be some feuds out of it. And, Team SmackDown is just, I don't really know what they're doing with that. To me, that is just the most random group of guys. And none of them have talked. Like, at least the Raw team, they, like, talked and they, like, try to, like, oh, let's work as a team. Let's get something here. There's nothing from SmackDown.
No. Yeah. So, Glenn, your thoughts on this. And tell me also, like, how do you feel about Kevin Owens? Like, why is he, like, he needs that big push? Because every time that he gets somewhere, he never, like, reaches out to that point of being, like, a champion one more time.
Yeah, I feel like once he kind of gets the momentum there, it sort of stalls, either just because the feud doesn't pan out or because it's something maybe he's doing, or I don't know. But I do have to agree with John Paul, and the Team Raw side is just way too... the team...
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The Team Raw is just too packed. It's too heavy. The SmackDown, it's like I said before, it's like it's Survivor Series, so Raw versus SmackDown. So let's just smash out of the match together and see what the hell happens. To me, it just feels like the Raw side has way too much going for it. As far as survivors, though, I like to see Keith Lee as a survivor, and I like to see Riddle/Matt Riddle as the other survivor. I think the two of them are the survivors on the Raw side. Give them, break that NXT syndrome. They're up from NXT. Bring them to the forefront. Have them carry the brand. Have them at least help carry the brand. So that loss in translation between NXT and the main roster can hopefully start to get patched up.
And don't forget AJ's bodyguard. He'll probably be there. I could easily see Braun Strowman getting taken out of the match by the bodyguard, and then that kind of being a feud going
Mandingo,
forward.
Right? You're talking about Mandingo, right?
Yeah.
Mandingo, yeah. Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah, even for the guys that don't know like Mandingo is, just go look. Whatever you find.
Well, Juan, just DM Juan. He'll send you the links.
No. I will not send any links. No, just go Mandingo. But you're right. That's. What is that to say? I want to ask you, Glenn. Keith Lee, have you liked how he's been portrayed yet? No, like for example, like he comes out, he loses like his theme song. Remember, Jean Paul, we talk about like not even like his theme song anymore. So like, what is this? Keith Lee goes from like being. Remember NXT Takeover with Karrion Kross? Good. Mm-hmm. Everybody's like, I can't wait for this guy to be in the main roster. I cannot wait to see this guy destroying everybody Monday Night Raw. He comes out, crickets. Why?
Yeah. It's just the translation between NXT and main roster. I hate to harp on it, but not that many casual fans pay enough attention to NXT. So they'll have a talent, be it your Keith Lees, your Matt Riddles, or even your Kevin Owens, come up from NXT, and it's literally, who the hell is this guy? Why should I care? Fans need to be given a reason to care. And we like Keith Lee because we've seen him. And we know what he can bring. We know what he can do. We know he's a good talker. We know he's a fantastic athlete for a man his size. But a fan who has not seen him too much is just going to be like, oh, okay, well, what have you done for me lately? That kind of syndrome rather. Like, you have to do something to impress me. And if someone is just starting on the roster, they might not be privy to those sorts of moments just yet. But my opinion of Keith Lee, it might be slightly influenced just because I like the guy already. I met him; he's a hell of a nice guy. So I just feel that it's just that loss in translation. I'm hoping he can be a survivor in this match and then get the wheels spinning.
Yeah, no, I agree with you guys. Libel is saying Roy's winning. Team SmackDown seems like all the leftovers taken during the gym kickball.
Besides Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens, I'd say yeah.
I just don't know, guys. Like, why is SmackDown always has the lower end of the stick?
Jey Uso, Otis, and King Corbin.
Yeah, King Corbin.
They literally picked the fat kid. They were like, I guess we'll take the fat kid.
Yeah, let's like I want Glenn. I want your thoughts about like the Roman Reigns storyline because we have our time. This is our show. We talk whatever the heck we want. I want to like your thoughts on this because I was listening to another group of people talking, and they were saying that like this is the greatest story ever told, Jean Paul. You know, and I was like already, what? So I wanted Glenn to like tag me out, like, oh, the match of the Hell in a Cell, oh, Roman Reigns crying, and they go, the emotion. I'm like, what emotion are we talking about here? Do you like it? Are you a fan of it? Or is just crazy here?
I'll give them. There is a lot of emotion involved, and it's probably one of the few storylines that COVID actually helped. Because you don't have that live crowd, you can mic up the talents better. You can have, the shotgun mics in the ring, whatnot, and pick up what the talent's actually saying. That said, is it the best story ever? Of course not. Anything coming out. I mean, there's so many stories in the 100+ years of professional wrestling. I think it's a very good story. I think it's a story that perhaps fans have been wanting to see. They've been clamoring for it. I mean, everyone, turn Roman heel. And 5 years later, Vince gets on a bender, I guess, and decides to actually listen to what people want for a change. And that's why we have this story. But I think for what it is, it's a very good story. I think it is like 5 years too late. And that's why, for me, it's hard for me to wrap my head and my hands around it as much as other fans do, perhaps. What I've seen from it, I kind of like how Roman is almost like, the Godfather type. And Paul Heyman's like the lawyer who's afraid as hell to piss off his client. And Jey Uso is the one general he has who's not staying in line, and he's trying to get him to stay in line, wouldn't shock me if Jey becomes the first eliminated from this match. So he has some reason for Roman to get pissed off at him, because I think that sort of dynamic is keeping that end of the feud going. But also, in a way, it's kind of like, the family struggle. I mean, a lot of families can sort of relate to this sort of thing, where it's like, where does the order fit?
Hierarchy, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And Roman's the kind of guy where it's like, okay, you might not like his antics right now, but he honestly is trying to be that family person. It's like, I'm at the head of the table. Okay, I know what I'm doing. Everybody get the hell off, because I know what I'm doing. Just cut it out. And I did like seeing the Wild Samoans come out and give him, these ceremonial lay.
We mentioned that in the review. Yeah, it was like kind of like what they're trying to set up for The Rock, though, right, Jean Paul? Remember what we said in the Hell in a Cell thing?
Yeah, and I mean I like turning Roman heel, but I don't know why you have to feud him with Jey Uso, because people were like, oh, this feud, like you said, it's so great. And then now people go, oh my God, this feud with Drew is so great, and nobody remembers the feud with Jey. Nobody cares anymore. So it's like, what was the point? It should have been Jimmy and Jey should have been on his side right away. They should have been in like a group, and then they should be the tag team champs, and then you lead it that they'd be like, no, we run this family, blah, blah, blah. Then The Rock comes, you're like, who runs the family? And then that's because that's the only thing we want to see. We don't want to see him feud with Jey and then eventually feud with Jimmy and feud with Rikishi or whoever the hell. No,
I want to see Sting face.
We just want to see The Rock, and so I don't know with this thing with Roman, but I mean it's. We'll see, because who even knows if they're going to get The Rock? I could see them not, but I don't know.
Yeah, that could be an issue with The Rock's schedule. I mean, he's doing every damn thing, right?
Yeah. See, with Jean Paul and I were talking about, Paul Heyman right now, for me, actually, a lot of people liked it, but, with Jean Paul and I were talking, off camera, and they were like, Paul Heyman just looks like, again, weak. He's not the Paul Heyman that, lead Brock Lesnar. This is just like, all of a sudden you're scared. All of a sudden,
Yeah, like Paul Heyman, who joined the Big Show, turned on Lesnar. No, it's not nothing legit. It's just like.
Brock is like the little guy who's gonna start picking a fight with someone, and then I'm gonna go get my friend to come kick your ass.
It's like me when I go and pick fights, and Jean Paul comes from the back. And he's like, okay, you want to be my friend? And yeah, it's like Martin, and he's like Nelson. And he just throws everybody. Yes, yeah, that's it's like. I just still, for me, doesn't sit well. What's the Heyman there then? Why is he needed? If Roman can just talk, if Roman can just be Roman heel, but then why do you need Paul then? What is Paul doing?
The only thing I could think is are they teasing another a Lesnar return, and then he joins up with Lesnar again, and then they feud that just for Roman to beat Lesnar, to be like, no, look, you turned on me and I still beat you and Lesnar, to really make Roman no, he's legit.
Yeah. So Glenn.
Or it could simply be that Paul Heyman equals heel. Roman's been, as much as he's booed, a lot of fans like him. So if you put him with an uber heel Heyman, everybody will start to sort of get it. But I don't know if Brock is even interested in coming back at this stage. But then if he comes back to fight Roman, okay, it's like, great, Brock versus Roman again.
9,000.
Yeah, I mean, what except Roman's the heel this time, I guess, and Brock is just Brock, like he's been for every feud. So I don't know. I think it's my opinion. I think it's just they wanted to turn Roman heel, and that just sort of started the wheels. And now Heyman's just there just to help with the payoff at the end.
Legitimize, like you said, like equals heel, like make it more okay, guys. He's heel, like okay.
Yeah, here we go.
Like look, whoever doesn't get wrestling, he's heel. There you go. So now it brings us. It takes all this great talk, guys. This takes me to the match. Drew McIntyre versus the head of the table, Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, champion versus champion. So let's open up with the egg, because the egg covered Monday Night Raw. A great Monday Night Raw, out of, for like a, for a change. Like McIntyre, like a great video package, and then also like the entrance. Like you said, if Broken Dreams would have been out, all of us would have been jizzing, we would have been, it would have been the bottle of champagne, it would have been like that, boom, out, and he finally becomes champion. So I want to ask you, what's the point, Jean-Paul, to like Randy Orton 14 days?
Well, look at his other title reigns. Didn't he have like a 9-day title reign? I think he did have a 14 title day reign in there as well. He had short title reigns. This is one of those things where, hey, now he ties he tied Cena, right, with 14?
No, what Cena 16. He tied
16. Oh, okay. Triple H, well, look, he moved up in the ranks. You know what I mean? This is just, hey, you're moving up. I'm sure he appreciates it. Hey, I was WWE champ for 2 weeks. Some people aren't WWE champ ever. And it was one of the things where it's like they want Drew as the guy, but look how legit Randy was. You have to reward him. You had to do something. It's like what? Like he's just gonna walk out of this feud with literally nothing. So no, he has a 2-week title reign as champ, and this is the match that the fans wanted to see. So with all that being said, though, as much as I love Drew and as much as I want him to win, I think that this is something long term. I'm not saying like I said, it's not the caliber of like a Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Rock, Austin, but this is kind of their modern day version. This is as close as we're going to get to like two top guys, going against each other. But I think this first one's going to go in Roman's favor just because they're really building him up as the heel. And, Drew just won the belt, and maybe we'll see Randy Orton come out. Yeah. But I think, we could also see The Fiend. Maybe even The Miz tries to cash in. I don't know how that would make any sense, who he'd go after or whatever, but I could see this one being screwy as well. Like I said, a lot of them could be clean, a lot of them could be screwy. We'll see, but I'm going Roman.
Yeah, Roman. All right. Then creator of wrestling all day, all night. I'll keep saying it, see that you at least can say that.
I'm glad you're saying it. It's giving me some promotion here.
I'm a good hyper at least, I have the best booker, and I'm a good hyper. So there you go. Cassidy, what do you have to say, Mr. Glenn?
Well, for this, it's just like I said at the start, it's really hard for me to bet against Roman in pretty much any capacity, and in this one, it's no different. The feud with him as the head of the table, Tribal Chief, that is like for them, that is like a momentum freight train. They are not going to stop that anytime soon. As much as I like Drew, and I think Drew has been a really good champion, I think he holds the belt very well. I think he's a guy who looks good with the belt, that brings the belt to a different level. I do agree with what John Paul said about giving Randy something, because he has, I'm not the biggest Randy Orton fan, but even I'll admit that he has been the top of his line for several months now, even going all the way back to when he was with Bray Wyatt. He's been really, really on, and I think it's good to give him a title reign. And even with him losing to Drew, I mean, he helps elevate Drew. So even that, I mean, it's not like it was, just like some kind of random transitional loss. It's like, no, it served some sort of purpose. And again, it could be a screwy finish too. I mean, he's got the Money in the Bank briefcase. And again, Orton's always the X factor. But with this, I just do not see Roman losing. I just cannot at all. Regardless of what the circumstances, unfortunately, I just can't see it.
And The Fiend, the Fiend lost. Roman beat The Fiend for the belt. The Fiend is also going after Drew. Maybe he appears. That's something. And, who knows? Maybe if The Fiend appears, maybe that's when we see The Undertaker again. Maybe they have a stare down.
Yeah,
Who knows? A lot. They could really, go crazy with this main event, or it could just be a match Roman wins clean because Heyman could punch Drew in the nuts when he's in the corner doing the thing for the Claymore kick. Heyman could hit him in the balls, whatever. So we'll have to wait and see.
The thing that you said, I thought he was grabbing the balls.
No, when Drew's in the corner and he's like,
he goes like,
LOL.
balls, right? Okay.
Oh, no, that's the Undertaker when he goes, because Heyman has the balls in the urn. Or not Heyman, Paul Bearer has his balls in the urn.
I think that like also they switched plans because the original plan it was actually for Drew to be the captain of Team Raw, but something along those lines it was kind of like ring the bell. Hey, let's pull out this match that is absolutely great, and that's why maybe they take that decision and they completely went the other way around because the
they might have did something to see the fans' reception and the fans, like they were loving that 2 weeks ago, and then Vince was like, Randy, do you mind? Randy's like, this belt's heavy. Like I've held it. I've held it 14 times. You can take it back.
Yeah.
What happened when Drew pinned him? He patted him on the ass cheeks, like, yep,
or like remember, like Christian. Like remember Christian hold the title for what, like 2 days?
Yeah.
Those days they used to tape SmackDown on Tuesday. So it's like, Randy, remember what you did to Christian years ago? Yeah. Okay, well, it's time to get you.
We're gonna do that again, except you're losing.
Yes, exactly. So I feel that like. I gotta agree with both of you. I guess Roman is just Roman, so it doesn't matter how big. Like I think that like if they do this at WrestleMania, then Drew should win it, and that will be like the payoff if it is WrestleMania. But this could start a bigger feud for both of them, and to like pull the plug at Mania because there's at least 3 candidates. It's like we're talking about Daniel Bryan against Roman at Mania, The Rock, or you can easily do this one too. Because like even John Paul, even you had it in the page, Glenn, that like Triple H said that like this is like the Stone Cold and The Rock.
And Drew could easily win the Elimination Chamber or something. Like let's say whoever wins the Royal Rumble, they could challenge. Maybe Drew doesn't have the belt. Maybe something happens. The Money in the Bank gets cashed in, and Miz pins his opponent, and it's like whatever. Again, a short title reign for Drew, but hey, now he's the WWE champ twice. That's badass. So. You could do something. He wins the chamber, and because you have to get him onto SmackDown somehow.
Oh yeah.
I would feel because to challenge it, unless he would be because I don't see them doing champ versus champ again at Mania, and then it's like everybody's like, so I can't have an opportunity to win the belt. Like who wins the Royal Rumble? A champion? That would be stupid.
I want to say hi to Jason Boyer. Thank you for watching. Also Dario, a friend of the house. Jason Boyer, also a wrestling fan. Thank you for watching. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, I feel that like I just don't see. I want Drew to win because Roman, to me, again, like that storyline for so many people is great, but for me, it's just stale. I'm telling you, I've been saying this. Everybody hates me for that. That's fine. Keep hating.
I don't think it's a bad storyline. I think just the fans have been wanting to see Roman turn heel. Raw and SmackDown have both been sort of stale overall. So it's like when it's. Of like these ripe avocados, here's one that's like maybe sort of ripe, and the rest are rotten.
Yeah.
So I think it's just because everything else is so bad or not as good, and this stands out in fans' minds. Everyone thinks it's better than it is. Maybe, I guess.
For example, Glenn, let me tell you why. It's just because I know that like Roman is that powerful that like it doesn't matter who you put against him, he's gonna win.
Yeah, nothing was believable. If anybody thought Jey Uso was gonna win the I Quit match, you're an idiot. Yeah, you're an absolute idiot.
Every match that they had, it's like who's going to win.
The only people I will excuse is like actual children.
Yeah.
Well, like 10-year-old kids. Okay, yeah, you're fine. But if you're over the age of 14 and you believe that, you're an idiot.
See, Jason is making a good point, and Jean Paul is saying it, and you probably know that too, Glenn, because I know you watch NXT when you get a chance, because right here, AEW, he loves it. Pat McAfee is the best heel right now, and he's the truth, though. The way that he talks, like the match that he had with Adam Cole, especially how like he puts down wrestling fans. Remember that line that he had to
Well, I read somewhere that Pat McAfee says he doesn't like to read from a script.
Yeah.
So everything he's saying is coming straight from his head.
Exactly.
It might not be, what people think is like the most, flowery language, but there's a passion behind it because they're his words.
Exactly. And also remember, the best promo
script your talent. Absolutely.
Yeah. It comes like, hey, give them little pointers, and then boom. And he put down. Remember what he said? What am I going to say to like the worst community ever or something?
Yeah.
It's true. Like, and Pat McAfee, he put on a decent match with Adam Cole, and this is going to be War Games. War Games is going to be fun, actually. And I mean, Pat McAfee as a like let's say he is a 24/7 wrestler, I wouldn't be against it. I mean, like he convinced a lot of people, even you, Jean Paul. Remember, he sucks. We used to like hate on that. Boom. Now he's actually good.
I mean, when I was just, I don't know how you're going to have a punter, how this is going to be, but he had a legit trainer, had a legit match with Adam Cole, and I mean, if it's like, hey, you got to eat crow a little bit and swallow your words when you said, oh, this is going to be bullshit, and, hey, I'll do it if it means I can have a legit heel on NXT, because there really isn't too many.
NXT, so I'll take it. AEW, like, even like I read today, or a thing that I said that, like, because of NXT beating in Halloween Havoc, that forced Tony Khan to actually change the creative process. And even we've been noticing, because the program has gotten a lot better. The reviews are there. It was Jean Paul, most of them. So I'm not Paul Rubric anymore. No, I'm kidding. But it's just like like it's a lot better. You see like the Lucha Bros being featured more. You see, like, for example, like, let's talk a little bit about that. How do you feel, Glenn, about AEW lately? Just for a quick second.
I feel like they're starting to get a little bit more of a stride. I like how they're kind of sectioning off and creating groups and things like that, because I think that's kind of a good way to get everybody, on the events and get everybody wrestling, get everything started. I really like Eddie Kingston. I like him a lot. I think he's a great talker. He's very passionate about what he says. There is a very, very deep level of passion with everything that guy does. So you put him involved in any program, it could be him against a coat rack, and you'll be able to believe it. Exactly. I like that they gave Darby the title, finally. I think the guy really deserves it. I'm hoping that he's a little bit more than just someone that gets his ass kicked and then comes back to win the match. I mean, I know he's a smaller guy, and they tend to be booked that way. And I do like what they're doing with Kenny Omega. I think they're finally making him into the cleaner, and the person that we wanted to see.
Well, we've been asking for the cleaner. That's true. It is true. And see what
I am a huge Jon Moxley mark, but if he loses to Omega, I will be perfectly happy with it.
He needs to. We've been saying, like, talking about, like, the 5 spots, for like AEW. Tony can't pay us a little bit, Talk about my show too. So, like, thank you, Tony. Kenny Omega needs to win that title. And Jason said something really cool about Pat McAfee. He keeps kayfabe on his podcast as well. Mm-hmm. That's cool, because like that's how they sell this thing with Adam Cole. And he's
the problem is today, nobody wants to be the bad guy. Nobody wants to portray, like, you can be a heel on Raw, but then on social media they're like, oh, hey, because they want, please follow my, my Twitter. Like, no, but Pat McAfee's like, screw you ugly asshole. Like, go shave your neck beard. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's how he is, and then people are like, "Oh, he's mean." It's like it's the same thing with MJF. You got to portray the character. That's why people say you're legit.
Oh yeah,
that's the kind of thing that the fans will end up eating that stuff up. At least the hardcore ones, and the ones that matter. It always annoyed me when you see two wrestlers fighting in a feud, and then you go on Instagram and see them together at Disney World. I mean, to me, as a fan, it's like, okay, why the hell should I care? It loses me. And that end of social media is something that wrestling has just not gotten right. And I like the fact that someone's going to take what they do in the ring and spill it into their social media, because you should be on 24/7. That's how wrestling works. It's still being sold as quote unquote real to people. So if you're always on, if you always have that character, if you're ready to flip into that in a second, at a drop of a hat, you're doing exactly what you should be doing.
Exactly. Absolutely right, guys. So let's talk about what you just mentioned, like 2 seconds ago. A guy that knows that kept for most of his career, like 24/7 on his character, the game of, like, The Undertaker. The Undertaker. 30 years of The Undertaker, the final farewell to the Phenom. So what do you think is going to be the role for this? And let's start with Glenn. What do you think about, like, is he going to have a match? Is he going to chokeslam somebody? Is he going to do a tombstone? What is going to be the Undertaker, like, playing in the Survivor Series?
This one's kind of tough. I mean, Undertaker is a living legend. I mean, the quick answer is whatever he wants. But the long answer, I guess, I'd like to see him go against The Fiend. Maybe kind of put up something like that for WrestleMania, but at the same time, I don't really, I have a feeling Undertaker's career is sort of straying away from that. I think he wants to be more the family guy. I mean, I've seen more stuff that he's put on Instagram and whatnot, and it's like the Undertaker from when I was 9 years old is gone. But honestly, I think that he will be there. They will do some sort of tribute to him. For all I know, he might just come out, do his entrance, and leave. But I think it's going to be respectful. It's going to tie up his career. And if we can squeeze one more match out of that, I mean, as fans, we win.
Yeah, man. And see, Jason is saying, spoiler alert. See, we get the exclusive from Jason, so thank you, Mr. Boyer. Spoiler alert. Fiend versus The Undertaker in like a movie match, in like a cinematic match.
Another Boneyard match?
Maybe something like that. I don't know. It could be cool, but again,
we did it with Cena. That kind of weird
Are you gonna bury the Fiend now one more time because he loves to be buried? Jean Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I don't with the Undertaker at Survivor Series. They're gonna have Kurt Angle was there, Savio Vega. There was a couple other names I believe announced. So they're gonna do something is gonna be shown, whether they're out there, applauding him or just little backstage promos, whatever. They're gonna do something for him. So I think he's gonna come out and talk. He's gonna say some words. And if you're gonna hint at a match, now's the time to do it. I don't think he's gonna wrestle anybody. Maybe he'll choke slam like a jobber or Elias again or something. He won't chokeslam whoever his opponent's going to be if they're going to set something up, because what do they do every year? He said in the documentaries, about Royal Rumble time, this time of the year, hey, do you think you can go in a couple months at Mania? And he's like, okay. Let me start to stretch like 5 months beforehand. And what is it now? Yeah, we got about 4 or 5 months, so now's the time. So, yeah, I could see him setting something up for Mania. And because this is a final farewell, but how many finals have we seen of The Shield or somebody else, and then they keep getting back? So, now, Mania, I think, will be the last but see, there's probably not even going to be fans at that Mania. I feel like they want to retire him when there's fans there.
Well, he deserves that, don't you guys think? For example, Libel is saying this. He's like, Taker should hang up the hat. He ended up with a great career against, with AJ. That was the last match. No more match needed. No need for any more matches. And Jason is saying, one up to the Styles and the Taker match, passing on the torch to the Fiend. I mean, out of the characters, there were only 2 guys that can pull out kind of like a similar gimmick or like a similar personality, like the Undertaker. It was Aleister Black and the Fiend.
And technically, Bray still has to go after Undertaker.
Yeah, so
if he's going after all the major people who's beating him.
Yeah, so Aleister Black is completely done. He's gonna join Selena pretty soon. So I'm saying that absolutely sucks because that guy had a bright career on NXT. I
think I could see both of them going to Japan, but that's just me.
Yeah, well, I can see them debuting alongside Glenn in AEW. So
no, I don't see him going there. I think he'll go somewhere where he can be extremely hardcore and be. I don't see AEW using him as hardcore.
Well, it is, but I just feel it's a very alternative right there. But Glenn.
Yeah, it's something I like to see, but I sincerely don't see it happening. Zelina with everything going on with Twitch and Cameo and whatnot. I mean, I could see where the conclusion would be, but I also don't see it. She'll probably take some time off and might maybe end up in Japan with Aleister Black, as Jean Paul had said.
That would be cool, though. That would be cool. She against Aleister Black. See that? I'm saying that. Naito. Oh yeah.
It like I said on the page not too long ago. It's got to be mind numbing that for a talent to have to deal with the Cameo and Twitch situation, and then for WWE to turn around and be like, "Hey, look, we're partnering with Cameo," and for 4 figures, you can have the Undertaker say 15 seconds of words to you, and it's because WWE is obviously behind that. But 5 seconds ago, they thought it was the Antichrist. It's got to be just really frustrating as a talent to have.
Well, it's because you know how it is, and Jean Paul and I have mentioned this in all the shows. Mm-hmm. It's hey, if you try to get over on your own, you'll be taken away. You'll be punished. Yeah, anything that you do outside that is not benefiting us, we will take it away from you. If guys,
but then we'll take it and we'll make it ours.
Yes.
And if you try to do it again, you have to go through us.
Yes, and let's say one of the biggest examples after even before all of these things, Zack Ryder, the Internet Championship, it was Zack Ryder. He became big because of the YouTube show. Oh yeah, he's big now. Oh, let's get him. Let's give him a little bit of momentum. Oh, okay, he sucks. Well, boom, thank you. And they even use the Internet Championship in the games.
Mhm.
They were like the Internet Championship was a part of like the WWE games. So it's true, and it sucks. Like, for example, the Undertaker to charge $1,000. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Undertaker. You know, I love him, but I'm not gonna throw $1,000 just for 15 seconds so he can say, "Oh, say hi to Juan, John Paul, and Robert or Glenn." Yeah, okay. No, it's not happening. I'm sorry, but I'm not doing that.
I mean, the only way I could realistically think of doing that is like if me and like 20 of my friends got together and like drop $50 in, and then
The fact also that the Undertaker, I mean, he seems pretty legit, and also like he's not going to tell the WWE flat out no. But the fact that he's okay with it being that short amount of time for that much money, and that he's like, oh yeah, that's fine. That he's not like, oh, like really, like I know I'm legit, but don't charge these poor people $1,000. We're going through a national pandemic.
Thank you. That's what I mean. That should be the mindset. It's
like 100, yeah, okay, no problem. People spend $100 on way stupider shit, but like 1,000, like that's that's like a car payment. That's that's something legit. That's a couple bills.
Payment, Vince wants that cameo money back, and he's going to get it back somehow.
I guess, yeah, you're right.
What they did now, I guess.
Yeah, I guess he didn't make enough money off all. And I don't want to shit talk the Undertaker. I love him, but I was gonna say I guess he didn't make enough money off the 40 documentaries they filmed in the last like 2 years.
Yeah, but I mean, you know that like I've heard a lot of the reports that like he actually lost a lot of money in like the divorces and all of the settlements when it comes to that. So maybe that's the reason. But it's a little like, come on, Taker, no. 21.
That's it exactly. Now I'm glad Brock won. No, just kidding.
There was like he just talking like because he's been doing a lot of media. I was talking about like the documentaries and the final farewell. He says like, oh, I don't think that Brock was the right guy.
Well, he even said going into that day that he thought he was going to win, and Vince was like, well, hypothetically, like, do you think it would be okay if maybe we just had Lesnar beat you? And he's like, well, if that's what you want to do. See, that's when Taker should have been badass for once in his life to Vince, because he was to everyone else, and been like, no.
Yeah, no.
Been like, no. Like, he should have been like, Lesnar's a made man. Like, do it to somebody who you need to get over for the first time.
Since we're talking about the Undertaker, Glenn, who should have been the guy in your eyes to, like, break the streak?
Nobody.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
I mean, for me, it's just so hard, and like a lot of people have said, oh, Roman should have done it. No.
Never. No.
I mean, Roman could have used it, but hell, anybody could use it. Hell, I could use it. But like, there's so much mystique surrounding that, and especially just like with the two matches with Shawn Michaels, the two matches with Triple H, and just how much work in the ring was done for that, and the way that Brock won it was just sort of very handily. It's like he just sort of walked in, beat Taker, and went home. And it's like there's the 21 plus streak gone. It just ended like that. I mean, I honestly felt it should have held.
Yeah,
especially in hindsight. What has really happened with Brock that was directly as a result of him beating the Undertaker.
Well, they started like
a match.
They started out like a gimmick. What was like the Beast Incarnate after that happened? So like Jason is saying like Brock is the only realistic one that could beat him. Lesnar is the only legit fighter next to Ken Shamrock back in the day. And John Paul is a absolutely huge fan of Ken Shamrock. We love the Uncle Log. So like John Paul, if somebody could have beat the streak, should have been Lesnar or I stay with Lendo. That thing should have ended 20-0. He retires. Thank you. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if someone was gonna beat him, like legitimately, yeah, Lesnar probably could have. Lesnar probably would kick his ass. Probably legitimately. I shouldn't say kick his ass. He'd probably beat him in a fight. But if you're gonna do a wrestling match and everything, I mean, Triple H could have been one, and they didn't go that. Kane could have been one when they first went against each other. When he took like 2 or 3 pile drivers to pin him, they didn't do that. Shawn Michaels could have done that in either of those 2 matches. They didn't. He goes through all those great opponents. Stone Cold was long retired. All his major feuds were long and gone. Edge, he didn't. Batista, none of these guys. So it's like Lesnar was the only guy if you were going to do it. But I really don't think you should have did it because, give the fans something legit. Like, oh, every year we get to see The Undertaker win. Yeah. Like, Vince loves that. He loves that, bringing the people back, feeding them the nostalgia. If The Undertaker loses once, then it's like, oh, we get to see that guy who wins most of the time at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
You know, not like every time.
Well, the whole thing, like WrestleMania, completely after like 30, completely switched up because like a lot of people, even like I can say, I was working alongside Jason at the time that like the streak was like Lesnar beat him. It completely changed for me. That match that he had with Bray Wyatt made absolutely no sense. There was no build. There was no reason to have that because he already lost. It should have been, like I said, 20, thank you, don't ever fight ever again. But again, the phone call, Vince needs me, so Michelle, I gotta go back. And I mean, Lesnar, yeah, but Lesnar was already legit. I mean, they used that to create this whole new persona that Brock Lesnar has, that like the Suplex City and all of that, but completely destroyed Taker. And then the other loss with Roman, that was even worse. Remember, like
the only person, like if he would have been undefeated and like maybe been in a little bit better condition, and you really would have pushed Bray legit, like really pushed him legit with the creepy like the murder family from the Bayou, like Deliverance, all that craziness, really pushed that gimmick and believable, not pushed it like haha, but we really think it's a joke, like how they did it. Then that could have been one that Bray Wyatt beats him at WrestleMania, but they obviously didn't do that. So
I mean, if they do something with the Fiend, at least they need to do something like Jason is saying, passing of the torch. That way, the Fiend.
To me, though, like you pass him the torch, but the torch is already soaked in water and it's dripping wet, and the flame is barely lit because he got beat by Goldberg, then he gets beat by Roman, and it's like he looks like shit.
Like for example, Glenn, like do you believe like the Fiend is like that believable character for you, or you just think of Goldberg? Because I think of Goldberg and Roman.
Well, I feel like every time they start Bray Wyatt, they stall him. Every single time. The fans finally get behind him, and then he loses badly. And then it's just over and over and over again. They got to fish or cut bait, as far as I'm concerned. If you want the Fiend to be something legit, then fine, book him that way. If you want him to just be some asshole, then fine, he's some asshole. Get rid of him. You Bo Dallas, we don't see him anymore. So get rid of the other rotunda.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, like for example, Jason is a big fan of the Fiend. He goes, the Fiend never forgets. I mean, for example, get the Fiend.
Jason, do you have the hurt? Do you have the hurt heel gloves yet?
Yeah.
Do you have the hurt heel?
What bigger win than Roman? That should be right there. Even to me, it's even bigger than Drew. Is Roman?
Yeah.
Beat him bad. Get the title of him, and that will clean Goldberg too. That will mean clean Goldberg. That will beat Roman, and that's how you.
Well, could you see him winning the Royal Rumble then? Not to go off topic, but do you think that maybe the Fiend wins Royal Rumble?
I mean, if you're thinking Roman and the Fiend, yeah, that would be cool.
Because I would have said Edge, but like that would have only been if Randy Orton was champion. To me, that wouldn't make sense. That wouldn't make any sense if Edge wins it.
Yeah, but Libel is saying Lesnar was legit when he first came into WWE. Once he left and went to UFC and lost to Frank Mir in a few other matches, then he came back to WWE. He lost all the credibility to me. In a wrestling real life point of view, he'll beat the Undertaker. But like Lesnar coming back, I mean, that's maybe why they did it. Because they needed something that later can grasp on. Because remember, Lesnar came back with all this. Oh, he's back, and then John Cena beat him.
Yeah, John Cena beat him handily.
Yeah, pretty much. Remember, like he dominates the whole match. Cena does the FU, done. Thank you, Vince. Also, I'm back.
Hey, you know how Vince is. Vince also is like the Fiend. Apparently, he never forgets because he screwed him at Mania with Goldberg. Okay, you asshole, I got you.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like still. I mean, yeah, okay, he lost to Cena, but to sacrifice the streak,
yeah,
that's kind of like you got like a match and you turn the fire hose on it to put it out. I don't know.
Oh yeah, no. To me, again, it should have never the streak should always be in like a thing, because after that the Undertaker became like, yeah, you want to see him, but so what is he gonna do? Even the Boneyard match. So I mean, it was great, yeah, but so in my head there's still like two.
And to me, the hair, like the shaved little thing he had was like, no. I was like, nah. I was like, this ain't Taker. Like he looked like he was in like the home or something.
But like the entrance, Glenn, remember that? And I told you this, Jean-Paul. I know you watched.
Yeah, the entrance was bad. He's bad.
That made it so legit when he hold the caskets start opening up and oh, that's great. And I was like, something bad is about to happen. Gets concussed, F5, done, thank you. And I'm like, oh, legit, freaking Taker. So Jason is saying the only reason Goldberg beat The Fiend is because Bray never had a previous interaction. But if you notice, The Fiend is used to avenge prior losses. There you go. That's a point by Jason Boyer. Right there.
The only thing with that is he'll never get a receipt. Do you think Goldberg's going to come in? Oh, yeah, can you do a job for Bray?
Oh.
He'll look at him and be like, that fat guy? No. Hey, like that'll be Goldberg's exact words. No.
I mean, he could maybe double the contract and he'll do it because Goldberg cares more about the money.
It's true, though. It's true. I mean,
well, I hope the sister Abigail's a little stiff, so we never see him again. So.
To Alexa Bliss, it's been really cool. We've been saying this, like Alexa has like that the sexy factor, yeah, and she's a little twisted. That's legit. Oh yeah, and she plays like a good psychic for Bray and everything.
Something too, because she's on and off the injured list, so it's something that she can still stay relevant and hopefully not get hurt again.
Yeah, and that's the reason that like Jean Paul and I were saying like she needs to be in a role that she doesn't need to wrestle. And then by still fans, I'm going to be looking at her because she's hot. Oh, yeah, it's Alexa Bliss. There you go. And even Jason is agreeing with us. So, Robert, thank you, Jason. Goldberg will never job to anyone. There you go, Bill Goldberg, for every single one of you. Even like to Roman. Well, for Roman, he was going to lose, though. I don't think he was going to, like, win a WrestleMania.
No, Goldberg job to a cattle prod, like back in the
day. No. Vince would have he would have gave Goldberg a blank check. He'd be like, you're going to do the damn job. He would have gave him a blank check. He would be like, I don't care. Like no. Goldberg, that would have never been an argument. But against Bray, no. Because you probably saw Bray as a joke. Because if you want to think about it from his perspective, he was like a legit, like a tough guy, like realistically, and Bray's clearly a guy in a mask. Like creepy, like supernatural powers doesn't clearly exist. It's all a gimmick. Like, really, I'm going to lose to this clown, like a legit clown in a mask and everything. So it's like, no.
You're right, Jean Paul. I mean, this is what we have for you guys. I hope that Survivor Series is a good show for every single one of you. Hope you guys are watching. Pretty sure Robert is going to be covering every single one thing that happens in Spanish, in English, every single thing. I hope that it's a good show. Hopefully they do justice to The Undertaker. Supposedly there's going to be a great video. So that's going to be the opening thing. So I already spoiled for every single one of you. It's going to be a great video. We're featuring all the career of The Undertaker, all the best moments. We will come back with another video to talk about every single thing because there's another episode of the Stone Cold Steve Austin Broken Skull Sessions. So more stuff on The Undertaker. Of course, I'm a mark, so I order some stuff. We got to do it for The Undertaker. So that is going to be good. Alongside, hopefully, if Drew wins, that was going to be the cherry on top. But, the head of the table will not allow that because the Walls and Mourns will say, so we're never going to do any business with you, Vince. So it's not going to happen. But, your closing thoughts on this, Glenn?
All in all, I think it's going to be a pretty good show. I mean, there's some, kind of just like it's Survivor Series time again and Raw vs. SmackDown, yada, yada. And some of the matches do feel thrown together. But, honestly, all the performers they have will be able to have a good match. I just see Lana going through a table. She might even just trip off the entryway into a ringside table and is taken out of the match. Other than that, I think it's going to be a good show.
Yes, jump on.
Oh yeah, no, I'm excited for it. It's one of the major four. How can you not be? We just even though it's this is gonna be shit. This is gonna be shit. As soon as the then now forever, I'll be like, it'll be good. I'm excited for the thing with The Undertaker. Obviously, the main event match will be good. The Raw versus SmackDown, the normal Survivor Series match will be good, I think. And, I think it'll be a good show. Like we complained about the tag team match, but I think they'll, the Street Profits a New Day, but I think they'll put a good match on. Sami Zayn, Bobby Lashley should be good. The women's match. So I'm looking forward to it, and especially, with The Undertaker.
Exactly. No, Jason is also saying NXT War Games will be better. And yeah,
overall, I think, yeah.
And NXT Undisputed Era against the new kings of NXT is going to be amazing. Hopefully Finn Balor gets a match or something because we need to see our NXT champion and the girls Shotzi versus Candice is going to be good. All the cake that is going to be involved in that match. There's a lot of cakes, a lot of flavors. There's chocolate, vanilla, mixture of all of that. So it's going to be good. And Libel is saying the way WWE is now, I'm not even mad if I miss a show or a pay-per-view. It's a shame. Just isn't what it used to be. I mean, it is true, but for a fan like all of us, we've been around WWE for for years now, and we love it. We're always going to support. It's like that team that sometimes it doesn't do well, but we're still right there. We're going to be there supporting. It doesn't matter what happens. But the build up for especially this one after last year, that it was so good, NXT, remember like the examen that we had, Jean Paul, a year ago, when like we were talking about this, like 3 brands going against each other, Triple H against McMahon, who's gonna win, and all of that. Now it's just like, so the usual Survivor Series.
Oh yeah, especially because there's no like stipulation, not just if Raw wins more or SmackDown wins more, they get like maybe the first 2 picks in the draft, so they can pick back to back, or like if they win this match then they get this, or like if they get that match they get this, or something like that, or like there's no stipulation, there's nothing on the line.
Oh yeah,
So like when there's nothing on the line, there's nothing on the ante. You can't up the ante. You can't make anything feel special. It's like, if the New Day wins, or if the Street Profits win, or whichever matchup, it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah,
they'll be like, my champion's better, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it's just
and Mr. Twisted said, I'll support, but I won't go out of my way to make sure that I watch it now. And it's true, like it happens. Hopefully, at some point.
That's why everybody just watches Rope Break.
Yeah, exactly. Let's watch Rope Break. We'll be covering the whole show. Every single thing that happens. And Jason says the internet wrestling community needs to get over the Wednesday night wars. It's wrestling and enjoy the different products. We've been saying that for the longest time. Like for example, Glenn loves AEW. AEW is great on its own way. Kenny Omega against Jon Moxley. How can you not be excited?
Be excited about that.
How can you not? The Cleaner probably becoming AEW champion. That's that great promo that they had with the Inner Circle. Conan example. I got the juice. The hangover. How can you not be excited? Hopefully at some point, Kenny against Penta. Like a great feud, but legit feud, not only 1 week of build. That right there. Adam Hanman Page. We haven't seen the list of Adam Hanman Page. Maybe joining the Dark Order. There's some rumors right there. Some stuff right there. It's good. MJF maybe turning on Jericho at some point. They do that this edition to turn it. You know that, right, Glenn? So, MJF turning on Jericho at some point.
Oh yeah, I have a feeling it's gonna happen. I mean, he's part of the Inner Circle, but I don't think MJF is going to be the type to stay in a group or associate with a group for long. He's all about himself, and he's probably going to try to take over the Inner Circle itself, not just get one over on Jericho.
Yeah.
He wants to kick his ass and leave a footprint.
Yep, absolutely. And see, for example, we always say this when Jean Paul, there's so many avenues that you can watch. For example, Glenn, AEW, NXT, Impact. Right now even MLW is back for the guys.
Yeah, Ring of Honor was doing well recently.
Good. So there's so many avenues for a wrestling.
Obviously New Japan, NWA started back up.
Yeah, so if you like certain type of wrestling, certain style, certain way of how the wrestling is presented, go right there. But as a fan, you have more avenues now, rather than just either watch WWE or Impact. Now there's more, You
got to take the good with the bad. I mean, nothing's ever going to be like how it was. All right, the Attitude Era ain't coming back. The Ruthless Aggression Era is not coming back, and I think that's what a lot of us grew up with, or at least started watching wrestling during. So they're not going to come back. Okay, but you can't look at AEW that way because AEW wasn't around then. It's still brand new. So there you have that. MLW just started back up, like you said. So New Japan is always fun to follow. And WWE is going to be, it's going to be what it is. I mean, the edginess of the storylines might not be there, but the athleticism is. So when you're losing in one, you're gaining in another. And if it's not your thing, well, then, like you said, you had that many different avenues. I mean, hell, thanks to the YouTube and the internet, I mean, you can follow whatever indie fed you want.
Exactly.
15, 20 years ago, it was really hard to do that. You had to attend everything locally or just trade VHS tapes or DVDs online. Now,
in Ecuador, you gotta go buy the shady tape, for $1, and then you watch the whole thing. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, so there's plenty of avenues out there. I mean, I myself, wrestling fans are pessimistic for the most part, it seems, at least. I find myself being pessimistic towards it. But every now and again, I gotta stop and ground myself and just realize that there are still good wrestling shows, matches out there. You just gotta look for them.
Yeah, and Libel, thank you so very much. That's a great compliment. I'd rather watch Rover reviews than the actual shows. So thank you, Tom. We appreciate that. And Jason is saying MJF is the second coming of Jericho. I think that MJF is a little being hyped up, even better than Jericho, because Jericho, remember, he was as good, but Vince always put a stop to it. You know, it's like a don't.
Oh yeah, well he was never
Bigger
pushed.
than the other
He was never pushed in WCW either.
No,
Yeah.
no, he wanted a curtain jerk, basically.
And that's what I mean. You know, he was always like a stop. Remember, like when Errol Hebner like did the fast count, the pop when he wins that title. You know, like the fast count, and everybody. Jericho could have been like the face of that company easily because how good he was.
But like that's what Jim Ross even said. He's like, yeah, they made him WWE champ and a world heavyweight champ and stuff. Like he was the guy, but he was never the guy. Like they never saw him as the guy. They made him the champ, but he was never like a Triple H or a Rock or a Stone
they
Cold
never
or-
saw him that way. Absolutely. And see,
He was putting these feuds that lowered him instead of elevating him.
exactly. They always did it with the thing with Fandango. He even had a thing on Inside Ropes. You guys can see it, like how he explains the whole feud with Fandango. So Jason is saying like CM Punk said is his 5 pound by bomb. WWE will continue. He is another way that like is spoken it's spin the wheel and the business will continue, and it's true. You know, so guys, thank you so very much. You know, for like listening to us, to pay attention to everything. Great conversation. You know, one more time, Glenn. Wrestling all day, all night. You know, please follow him. He's on Instagram. He's on Facebook. A great wrestling community. We can exchange this kind of opinions like this. You know, like as intelligent wrestling people. You know, we don't need to argue with each other. We're not gonna curse each other out. It's just talk about the passion that we all of us share. You know, and after you do that, you know, for the guys that haven't done that yet, you know, Jason, please, you know, I'm hoping that you do this right there. The original Road Break on YouTube, please, you know, right there, guys, like all the reviews in the wrestling business, right there, Jean Paul, right? Smackdown, NXT UK, AEW, Will Hobbsy, John's Team Taz. I'm pretty sure Glenn loved that one. And, you know, Undisputed Era's back. You know what? Will Hobbs, right, Glenn? You're loving it.
Hobbs, say it ain't so, Will. Say it ain't so.
Yeah, there you go. So, like, you know, please, family, don't forget to check us out. Hey, you know, subscribe right there. You know, best reviews, you know, in Spanish, English, even soccer right there. So don't forget to support us. You know, we love all the interactions that we're having with every single one of you. And also, Jean-Paul, where else they can find us in the social media world?
Well, you can find us on Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, Original Rope Break on Instagram, and of course, like Juan just said, you can find us and make sure you click subscribe and the bell right here on YouTube, the Original Rope Break.
So thank you so very much, Jason, Tom Lible, everybody that's been watching. Thank you so much, Glenn, you know, for a great conversation, you know, wrestling all day, all night. You know, that's what we do. That's what we live for. So, you know, so tomorrow, everybody's a wrestling fan. Enjoy Survivor Series. And final farewell to The Undertaker. So, Jean-Paul, you know, one more thing that is left to say. Glenn, you know, support us on this one. And it is...